500 years is a long time, as men measure time. Yet that is the span of an era that begins here today. The date is Friday, June 8th, 1962. The place is Esterhazy, Saskatchewan, Canada. Shadowy in the morning sun, a cluster of buildings stands silent, waiting the breath of life. Cavernous warehouses lie empty, waiting too, waiting for the day, this day. A nearby signpost points to the four winds, marking the global significance of events transpiring here. For here, 3/4 of a mile down, lies a treasure locked for 300 million years. And it's taken 5 years to get there. Mucking, they call it, these hard rock miners who burrow into the bowels of the earth. A dry shaft, they call it, too. They'll pump the water out. Giant claws scoop out the muck to inch the shaft downward. Hard rock again, and drills bore downward. That's dynamite. When the dust has settled into mud, more loose rock is hauled out. Day after day, month after month, the shaft has driven down 3,000 feet, 3,100 feet. Now, this day, they find rock unlike all the rock they've drilled through. This rock is potash. Here at last is the door to an underground treasury 50 miles wide and 400 miles long. 5 billion tons of potash, enough to fertilize the arable land of the world for the next 500 years. 10 years ago, the soil of Saskatchewan had hardly been explored below the depth of a plowshare. Generations of sturdy Canadian farmers had tilled the soil of this vast, windswept prairie without dreaming of the riches hidden below, in the bed of an ancient inland sea. When surveyors and geologists appeared on the scene, they were questing for gas and oil. They also found potash. Machines followed, not the familiar reapers and combines, but drilling rigs bent on probing the Earth's deep secrets. Exploration was sponsored by several companies, among them International Minerals and Chemical Corporation. The search was urgent because the world needs potash. Plants must have potash to grow, and plants must grow in ever-increasing abundance to feed the world's hungry millions. To supply this need, in January of 1955, IMC staked out a claim for over 500,000 acres of land. Nearby was the town of Esterhazy, a quiet agricultural center, population around 600. Principal business, shipping grain. Many of the far-sighted residents already sensed that the greatest days of the town lay before them. But many, understandably, were asking, what's potash? How do you mine it? How do you mine potash? You start by drilling a test hole and pulling a cross-section sample of the earth all the way down to the ore bed. From this, you develop a stratigraphic chart showing all the obstacles you will encounter. This is the battle map from which you plan your campaign. And you know from the start that sinking a shaft here will be a real test of your skill and determination. For this treasure, nature has guarded well. Your problems begin right at the top. You can't dig safely through mud and water and gravel, and that's what you face for the first 300 feet. So, your first chore is to freeze the ground. Freeze it into a solid block through which you can drill a hole 18 feet across. Then you start your shaft, lining it with concrete to hold back the mud when it thaws. Even as you start down, you begin building a processing plant to receive the vital ore and refine it into the food-producing minerals so valuable to agriculture. You run tunnels from building to building to shield the men from the Canadian winter and ensure uninterrupted production the year round. You build giant warehouses to store the refined potash. And you bring in a rail spur to haul it out to the world. It's all laid out so you'll be ready to go the day you hit that potash. It's a long way down, a deep, deep hole, long in heartbreaks and frustrations. Underground water bursts in to flood the shaft and threaten the entire venture. Each time, drilling must stop until you've driven out the water and pumped down thousands of bags of cement to dam the stream and seal off the shaft. Months go by, months during which the town of Esterhazy feels the pulse of a new economy, an economy founded on potash. Housing is needed for the men building the mine and those who will work it. Suburbia comes to the prairie. Tax funds advanced by IMC helped build a new and bigger school. With a new hospital, signs of growth are everywhere as a prairie farm town gears up to become the potash capital of the free world. In Regina, capital of Saskatchewan, progress at the mine is followed with keen interest, where officials of IMC confer often with the premier of the province and other government and business leaders. June 1960. A sense of urgency grips the job. Something big is in the wind. You've dug down to 1,200 feet, 1/3 of the way. But here, nature waits to throw her Sunday punch. Technically, it's the Blairmore Formation. In plain language, quicksand, under the kind of water pressure you'd encounter if you dive down 1,000 feet below the surface of the ocean. This one could really beat you, and you know it. It's already stopped others who tried to get through. But there has to be a way to win. There's so much at stake. In cold cash, the stake is nearly $50 million. That's one measure of Esterhazy. That's how much IMC is investing here to unlock the richest store of high-grade potash ever discovered. There is a vision here, too, a bold bid to achieve an unmatched position as the world's largest independent supplier of fertilizer materials. So the company's future is on the line. But there's more at stake, much more. There are people, and the problem is feeding them. Food for the world's hungry millions must come from land already under cultivation. There is no other. This means more intensive cultivation, more potash. Yet while the peoples of the world have been multiplying, reserves of potash have been dwindling to a foreseeable end. The new Canadian potash is vital to man's growth. This is the challenge of Esterhazy. The stakes are high, so you call on the best engineering brains in the world to help you launch the Battle of the Blairmore, a formation well known to all geologists. 1,200 feet down, a refrigeration plant is built so that the watery quicksand can be frozen into a gigantic ice cube at a temperature of 50 degrees below zero. Then you enlist the skills of an experienced iron foundry in Canada. To beat the Blairmore, you pioneer a technique never before used in North America. It's called tubbing. You're going to build a cast iron tunnel, a vertical tunnel made up of 836 sections, each weighing 4 tons. In the mine shaft, the sections will be formed into rings, and the rings joined together in a continuous iron sleeve 300 feet long through the Blairmore. Now pavement breakers become giant ice picks to hack the shaft down through the frozen quicksand. As each 5 feet of ice is chiseled away, the iron rings go into place. Its rugged Premier of Saskatchewan dons a hard hat and rides the skip down to help drive the last of 17,000 bolts, a golden bolt marking final victory over the Blairmore. The date is March 25th, 1961. You're halfway down to potash, but you're months behind schedule. So, to speed the work, you introduce another technique new to the Western Hemisphere, a triple-deck platform known as the Galloway Stage. While one crew digs below, another builds forms at the next level, and a third pours the concrete shaft lining above. You still have 1,500 feet to go, through rock and shale and salt, and more water. 11 more layers, like the Blairmore, but each with its own personality. Can prairie farmers mine potash? Why not? They're sturdy, reliable, industrious. All they need is training. This mine is to be the most modern in the world, employing ingenious equipment like this continuous miner, which literally chews its way through the ore. The men learn fast. They're ready and eager to hit the mine running as soon as the word is given. May 1962. The first traces of potash are showing up. Not the main ore body, but enough for preliminary testing and tuning up of the plant. Potash fever is rising. June 4th, only 64 feet to go. Soon the great warehouses will be filling. Soon wheels will roll, making delivery to waiting markets throughout the hungry world. Out of the muck comes the magic rock. This is it, the main ore body. It happened at 3,132 feet, where nature hid her richest store of potash and spent 350 million years building barriers above to guard it. Breaking those barriers took vision and engineering skill, $50 million and 5 years of faith and labor. It's a time for celebration. First, the traditional miners' ceremony with long johns to proclaim the bottoming out of the shaft. A strange flag to mark the dawn of a new era, but the end of the shaft is the start of a mine that will supply the world for 500 years to come. Quieter celebrations take place throughout the province. For every child born in Saskatchewan this day enters the world owning one share of stock in International Minerals and Chemical Corporation. Esterhazy comes of age as the potash capital of the free world. K-Day, they call it. K means potash, and the day is the official dedication and opening of the mine. For 5 years, the people of Saskatchewan have been hearing about this mine. Now they've come to see and to celebrate. 7,000 of them flocked to Esterhazy from hundreds of miles around. Other visitors have made longer journeys from farther points in Canada and the United States. Government officials, journalists, businessmen, agricultural experts, men keenly aware of the significance of this occasion. They put up in Pullman cars. Esterhazy is not a convention city. They're entertained in Kayville, an old-time mining town built in one of the warehouses. But they've come on business, and the business is potash. In a briefing session, they learn about the strategic advantage the company has gained. IMC now has 2 independent sources of potash, Carlsbad, New Mexico, and Esterhazy. Each serves its own natural market, which is that part of the world to which it can ship most economically and effectively. Esterhazy is most favorably situated to serve Canada and the U.S. Midwest and North Central states, and those world markets where the need for potash is growing fastest. This giant potash reserve gives IMC a marketing advantage no other producer can match. The Royal Canadian Air Force flashed a salute. As the president of IMC proclaims the mine open for business.
Your very genuine interest in us, and I hasten to add...
The province of Saskatchewan speaks through its premier.
Been privileged to witness a single enterprise.
The government of Canada through its Minister of Mines.
Canada takes a leading position.
A button is pushed, and the first of 1 million trains is on its way. No longer do folks in Esterhazy ask, what is potash? But many are still curious to know, how do you mine it? How do you mine potash? Well, when you start fresh in a brand new mine, you employ the very latest techniques and equipment the mind of man can devise. You send in continuous miners, a squad of them. It's as different from old-fashioned pick and shovel mining as a spaceship is from a horse and buggy. You hoist the ore up the shaft at the rate of thousands of tons a day. In the refinery, you put it through mammoth crushers and grinders. It's pulverized. You want only the potassium chloride, so you add other chemicals to float it away from the common salt. Computers regulate the flow, guarding the quality. Finally, you screen it to size for different agricultural uses. But it also takes people to guard quality, continually assaying the ore and checking every stage of production, maintaining the highest standards. Now the giant warehouses are serving their purpose, storing potash for the season of peak demand. You load it into freight cars for shipment to Canada and the United States, and to the sea. You load it into ships for transport around the world. And that's how you mine potash. Potash is no more and no less important than the food on the world's table. Whether it's spread by hand in Japan, by airplane in New Zealand, by machine in the United States, potash is vital to the cultivation of food crops everywhere. And a hole dug in Canada, 18 feet across and 3/4 of a mile deep, leads to a store of this life-giving mineral sufficient to supply the entire world. This is the challenge of Esterhazy.